what both of these teams have been able to do over the past few years has been like almost nothing short of like miraculous and like the definition of like how you're supposed to run a football team and get you back to being that premier organization because both of these teams, the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks, are no stranger to being very successful in the NFL. With both of them obviously having Super Bowls under their belts, the Patriots obviously made way more successful, but I mean, still, both of these teams are just known to be some of the most premier organizations in the entire NFL, and it's good to have them back.
Yeah, we're getting a Super Bowl. I'm sorry, I don't know what Roman numerals this is, but
60.
uh, Super Bowl 60 rematch um, between the Seahawks and the Patriots. But you summed it up very well. These are two organizations that are familiar with success, and they have built themselves up this last year as two teams that drastically exceeded expectations. You were higher on the Patriots than me coming into this season, but we did both have them as playoff teams. And then we were both very skeptical about the Seahawks coming into this season and the level at which these teams are playing at heading into the Super Bowl um, should lead to what I think is going to be a good game.
Yeah, I want to get into the game obviously at some point, but let's first talk about the Patriots here because this isn't like a this is a very quick turnaround. Like we watched the Bill Belichick Patriots fizzle out towards the end once Brady left with an 8-9 season, a 4-13 season. They leave. Gerard Mayo last season comes in and they go 4-13, and Mike Vrabel comes in and they go 14-3 year one. And this goes back to a conversation that me and you had at the very beginning of the season when this hire got announced. I unequivocally said not only is this is the best hire of the entire like cycle, it's the most important one. And the reason I said that too is because who he brought on with him. Like people in that organization got brought back in like a Josh McDaniels who have all they know is playing for a Super Bowl pretty much for over 75% of their entire careers. Like that's all they know is going and winning the Super Bowl. Vrabel a little bit different with his playing when he was playing when they were winning all of that, but McDaniel being able to be like a premier coordinator in the league and those two coming in, it just made absolutely all the difference. And it didn't matter what talent they had because the drastic talent shift from 2024 to 2025 isn't that much. It's not like they've added a ton of premier positions all over the field and everything like that. A lot of it is still the core group that it has existed the last few years in New England. They brought in a few people, obviously, here and there. And you obviously have somebody as important as Drake Maye taking the reins and taking the next step. But as for the rest of the roster, it's not like this is like this roster had a complete overhaul and it's just like all this premier talent. I think it's really impressive what they've been able to do this season with the talent on their roster.
Yeah, they obviously Drake May being the most important, taking a massive leap, being an MVP finalist. But the coaching staff, and I was skeptical of it, did a at the beginning of this season, and I was wrong. They did a great job. This defense has played at a very high level, and Drake May has been nothing short of spectacular in the regular season. The playoffs are it's a little different. Things get a little bit more difficult, but that I'm not letting that like take away from the fact that he played phenomenal this season.
Yeah. I really want. That's one of the big talking points I actually want to talk about because what this has turned into now has been the New England Patriots are. It's their fault that they have like ran into a weak schedule. It's their fault they've done this, that, and the third. I think that what one they won the games. Like ultimately at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it's not like they were going out there and dropping game. They lost the first week of the season to the Raiders, which is a game that they shouldn't lost. But after that, quite literally, they won every single game they were supposed to win. They even had a game where they blew a lead, a 21-point lead to the Buffalo Bills. This could be a legitimately like a 15-2 football team going into the
Yeah.
playoffs. And we played with the idea. We were like, you know what? Teams like this, maybe they are a little bit fraudulent once they get into the playoffs.
Yeah.
And we had a little bit of back and forth on this the other day. So right away, we are like, oh, they play Chargers round one. Bad matchup for them. You know what I mean? That's a bad
Yeah.
matchup for the New England Patriots. They go out there and they take care of business. It wasn't pretty, but they did it. Then boom, the next week, the Houston Texans. They play the Houston Texans, one of the hottest teams in football, regardless of what you think about CJ Stroud. And people are like, oh, CJ Stroud threw 4 picks. Well, their defense forced 4 picks. So let's talk about how impressive that performance was, where the Texans were probably one of the best. That defense was probably like offense and defense wise across the league. I think that there's an argument to be had that that's the best unit that rolls out onto the field on a week to week basis.
Yeah, I think going into that game when we were talking about it, or even going into the playoffs, I'm pretty sure my reasoning for the Texans making it to the Super Bowl was because of how good that defense was.
Yeah, and then this last game, I mean, obviously you can't control the Bo Nix injury, but
No.
I don't want to hear about this shit about the weather games. I think that's bullshit. That's a part of it. So like
Yeah.
if you aren't at that point, that game was just who was better, who was a better coached football team, and New England Patriots came out on the other side of that. 2, nobody can sit here and sell me on the idea that if Bo Nix was playing in that game on Sunday versus the New England Patriots and how everything went, that the outcome would have been that different. Even the biggest Broncos fan that we have in our life was like, oh, it would have been 17-14. It's like, okay, so that's your argument that they would have scored 17 points, because then that's like, then you are on our side then, and that in my side then in that scenario where you don't think that like Bo Nix being inserted into that game is that big of a difference. So I want to just say, yes, they went and they handled business in the regular season. Then I feel as if people are loud about this because you can nitpick every single playoff run, every single Super Bowl run of all time. If you go back deep enough and look at like what happened in each game, nobody's going to remember any of that. I made the argument that it has been extremely impressive that this run that they went on, they have beat. If they go ahead and beat the Seattle Seahawks in the Super Bowl, they would have beat 4 of the 5 top defenses in the entire NFL throughout the entire course of the season this year. And if that's not impressive, then I just flat don't know what is. So I don't understand why everybody's so penalizing the Patriots on such a heavy basis. And really what it boiled down to for me is I really think that I forgot how much everybody hated the New England Patriots. And I think inserting them back into the scene at a very high level, that everybody's starting to get that tick back in their head where it's like, fuck, we're going to have to actually deal with another New England Patriots dynasty, aren't we?
Yeah, I think that's certainly a lot of it. I mean, it is enjoyable to have like that team to hate again, because like the Chiefs are no longer going to be that. And I think that like the universal team that everybody hates is, at least in our lifetime, has just been the New England Patriots. And it looks like that we are trending back into that direction for the sport of football. But
I love the Patriots, by the way.
I know that. I know that.
I used to rock a Randy Moss jersey when he was on the Patriots in 2008. I got a Randy Moss jersey for my birthday, and I legitimately wore it to school like 3 days a week.
I'm talking about the rest of the NFL that doesn't that is not Patriots fans, because it's very much like you love them or you hate them. There's not really anybody that is kind of indifferent about the New England Patriots, at least that I've come across. So I think that's probably a big part of it where they see the writing on the wall and it's like, shit, they made it to the Super Bowl in a year that like the expectation was maybe make the playoffs and 1 year removed from a 4-win season and a new head coach and what's going to happen with Drake Maye, like is he going to make that jump? And then all of these boxes get checked where Vrabel has Vrabel is a coach of the year candidate. Drake Maye plays at an MVP level and New England's back in the Super Bowl and everybody looks at that and goes, "Well, here we go again." It's like the GTA meme of the guy walking away where it's like, "Oh shit, here we go again." And that's
Yeah.
what's happening with the New England Patriots right now.
My question is, and you're removed from it a little bit, and I just wanted to ask you why were you so quick to just really diminish how impressive this run has been in the playoffs for the New England Patriots? Is it because it's not an as a flashy offensive performance? Is that why people are going to be down on this? Because this run, it is undoubted. Like no, there I tried to pull some serious runs. I think the year where Carson Wentz goes down and Nick Foles comes in, I think that's up there. I think the '07 Giants are probably the hardest path that they've ever had to go on. I think that they beat the 18-0 Patriots. They beat like
Yeah.
two 14-win teams. Like, you know what I mean? They just went
Yeah.
insane. Like when you look back at that run. But I don't know how many other teams to a Super Bowl. And honestly, the only way it would get capped off in my mind is if they do go and beat the Seahawks. That
Right.
is how this gets capped off. That's the
Fair.
only way that I keep it on this level is if they go ahead and beat the Seattle Seahawks. One, do you think it's because it's not the quote unquote like premier talent at quarterback that it's like maybe this is a little bit diminishing, but like these units are like historically great defensive units, and they're going out there and handling business and winning football games.
So I think so my reasoning as to why I diminished it right away is because of them playing a backup quarterback in the AFC Championship. And I am in agreement that I think Bo Nix would have been able to win the Broncos that game, but at the same time, if you're New England, you can only play who's in your way. And New England had no control over not being able to play Bo Nix. Now, the other piece of this is the defenses that the Patriots had to play along the way. Elite list of defenses. 100% agree with you. I think I would be quicker to agree if offensively they were they looked better offensively. I don't think Drake Maye has looked anything above average this entire playoff run. I don't think the offense for New England has looked anything above average in this
They
playoff run.
haven't,
I
but
think
they've
the
also
I think
played the league's best defenses.
I know
Is
that's
that
that's
that shocking?
no, but that's my whole thing where it's like in order to do something in order to give the like that even more credit, I would have your take even more credit. I would have loved to see the Patriots go up and just control the offensive side of the ball. I think that would be a better case for how difficult of a run it's been. And I also think it kind of diminishes just how insane their defense has been playing.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at with all of this. Is like you're playing the matchup that you watch, the chess match that you watch on each side of the football. It was like the Patriots have a good offense. They're playing the league's best defenses. Are they able to go out there and win games? Answer, we have the answer, yes. On the other side of the football, it was like their defense is a middle to maybe like 12 unit in the entire NFL. Can they step up in games where the
Right.
offense might not look as good because they're going up against some of the league's top defenses? And are they able to handle business on the other side of the football? And we've watched them do enough on the offensive side of the ball. Like you said, would you like it to be prettier? Yeah, for sure. I think everybody would. But like at the same, like how many yards did Drake May finish on the ground last week? 100? Did he have 100 yards on the ground last week, or am I tripping?
No, he did not.
What do you
He
have?
had 65.
65. Sorry, I don't know why I
Ramondre
thought that.
Stevenson had 71. He was their leading rusher.
Okay, maybe it was a combine that I saw or something like that at the end. But Drake Maye, it's the same. It's the same scenario in my head where everybody would be absolutely hammering Drake Maye in these close games if he went out and threw a costly pick, and everybody would have a comment to say about, oh, like Drake Maye just he didn't do enough, like he stinks, blah blah blah. But on the other side of things, where he's making all of the right decisions in the big spots, making extending drives, making the winning football plays, doing enough to win them these football games and survive and advance the whole way to the Super Bowl. And people are still sitting there being like, "Oh, he's not good. It's not good enough." Blah blah blah. So it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, I am not shocked that this played out that way. Do I think Drake Maye would have played a little bit better? Yes, but I'm not going to sit here and act completely shocked that like he's getting boxed up by some of the best defenses in the league
No, I'm not getting. I'm not
in the
shocked about it.
playoffs.
I'm not shocked about it either. But because those defenses are great. I believe what they're three of the top eight, whatever the stat was that you mentioned to us, three of the top five defenses
Yeah.
in the NFL. I'm looking at it right now, and this New England defense has been a top 10 unit based off of points allowed and total yards, which I feel like now we're finally seeing just how good this unit has been in the playoffs versus the regular, like, and they did this in the regular, this was regular season stuff. Now I think they're probably playing at a little bit higher of a level in the playoffs, but either way, like, they're finding ways to win. And at the end of the day, like, that's what realistically matters the most here. I think, yes, Drake Maye needs to play better, but if you're doing enough, your defense is playing at this insane rate, and you're winning football games, and you're playing in the Super Bowl, what is there really to? I mean, there's always going to be something to critique,
What's the nitpick? Yeah.
but there will always be something to critique. That's just how it goes. But like at the end of the day, like you said, he's made some plays. He can rely on this defense, and they're playing in a Super Bowl in a year that nobody even like that a bunch of people thought that they might not even make the playoff. So you got to give him credit where credit is due, which I am certainly doing. You, like I said, you can only play who you play. You win you beat who you beat, and they find themselves in the biggest moment of the season against a good Seattle team.
Yeah, I'm excited to watch it play out. Like I said, I think that the run has to be capped off by the Super Bowl for me to stamp it. You know what I mean? But it's
I,
definitely for the
I
table,
also
in my
I also
opinion.
want to I also want to include that um, the schedule narrative. I do think it is it is now like out the door. I don't think that that's a like a regular season thing. I don't think that you can even bring that up as like a knock on the Patriots for
Yeah,
this year. I don't think
they've proved if they went out and lost in the first round to the Chargers, everybody would have been like, it's because the schedule was too easy. They
yeah.
finally played somebody who was decent with a good defense and played Justin Herbert, and they went out and lost. Like, we should have all seen it happen.
They
They
were
didn't
just
do
this
that.
good of a team the
They
whole
didn't
season.
do that. Yeah, they didn't do that. And then they go and they win the wild card, win the divisional, win the championship. Like, that narrative, in my opinion, is that like it's a weak one. I feel like it's really grasping at straws. They went out there and beat some of the league's best talent when it mattered most, and that's why they're in the Super Bowl. That's all there is to it.
And to be honest, who in the now I understand that you're not going to make the Super Bowl every season that you have a good record, but like the Giants made the playoffs and they had that good season, which was like a crazy outlier, and they got bounced in the first round, but they didn't win 14 games. Like,
Yeah.
I know that we just saw this with the Vikings and the Sam Darnold situation last year, but like for the majority of the time, if you win 14 games in the regular season, like you're probably a pretty good team.
Yeah.
Regardless of your roster. Like or regardless of your schedule, odds are like you're not just winning 14 games and being a a mediocre club. Like you'll drop a couple games over there. If you're playing that high above, if you're playing above your level of talent, I feel like the ceiling is like 10, 11, 12 wins. But if you're really that good of a team, 14 wins is
Insane.
like is crazy, right? Like 14 wins makes sense if you're that good of a team and not playing that high ahead of what your actual how good you actually are. Is this making sense what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I feel
100%.
like the fact that they, regardless of how easy their schedule was on paper, they pretty much walked through it.
Yeah.
And they win 14 games, and we shouldn't have been shocked that a 14 win team was good enough to make the Super Bowl, but I feel like maybe we were a little gun shy because of
I
the
felt like we were, but
schedule.
we addressed that. I mean, if you really think back, we addressed that long during the wild card round. We were like, we need to see them show up against the Chargers and beat them. They did
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
true.
what.
Yeah.
That was that was like our question mark, where it was like, is this going to be like one of those fraudulent teams? Like blah blah blah. It's like, well, let's see what they could do against the Chargers, and
Yeah.
they took care of business. So, shout out to the Patriots. I want to.
I just spit it. Good girl, we're getting paper as a passion. Collect the stacks.